Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Good morning, and those sounds you hear in the background. The shelling in Omaha continues, and everyone is hiding over the night under whatever they can cover. Get ready. What a war. What an incredible College World Series up there. I like what Frank said in a text this morning. Look, they've been up there. This is day 26 for Frank Duffy out there on the Bengal One road trip. He and Rhonda, I mean, they are troopers. And all those fans, LSU's got a lot of them up there. I mean, you talk about loyalty. They could write a textbook on it. And we're watching all this from afar. It's just been an incredible thing to watch. Frank Duffy has just joined us. I didn't know if he'd make it this morning. I didn't want to call because I was afraid Rhonda may answer and go, no. But Frank, you're an iconic cult-like figure. So many men out there around the country going, man, what a trip, what a road trip. they say on SpongeBob SquarePants, day 26. And so we've got Mitch Davis joining us here shortly from down in Tupelo, another baseball junkie, talking about the College World Series and some Cotton States baseball. HR-2, hour number 2. Coach Matt Dean will check in with us. He's been up in Iowa for the past week. And we will be joined also by Franz Beard, GatorBaitMedia.com. And man, what a College World Series. Wess Moore checks in the final segment from over in the capital city, Little Rock, talking some Arkansas and SEC and College World Series. Great time of year. Follow us on Twitter at Sidelines_live. 25 shows a month, 6 days a week, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, Sidelines.live. Also, watch us on the YouTube channel. I know more and more people are sending me these things and, hey, watching you on TV. And I'm like, well, go for it. And but it is cool. You get to see the Hollywood Squares and the Ham's beer sign in the background and whatever we have on the set. But again, we are here 6 days a week talking college sports. Frank, yesterday, Tigers go up 3-1, and you're thinking, okay, we're doing it. But you wrote a great text this morning to our group, and it described it. You hit a wall. I mean, it happens sometimes.
No
and you get up every morning early and work out. You get up every morning early and do certain things. Sometimes you just go, I'm not feeling it today. And you do it, but it's not like it was, say, on one of your better days. But you know what? These guys are all competitors. Ain't the first time they've lost a game.
Yeah, well, look, you tip your cap to the other team. You say, y'all had a great game. Y'all got the hits up in the jet stream that was blowing out like it was a hurricane. Y'all won. You tip your cap. You say, we'll see y'all tomorrow night. So we're back at even, right? That could have been 20,000 to 4. It wouldn't have mattered. It's one loss.
It's still a loss. Exactly.
I will tell you, I felt it yesterday walking into that stadium. Now, today is our 8th game in 10 days. Yesterday was our 7th game in 9 days. And I can feel it. I can sense it. The crowd, I mean, yeah, we were yelling again, but I mean, people were just, it has taken its toll, the route coming from the losers bracket. There is no doubt in my mind about that. Yeah. We said on the show the other day, Florida has the high ground because their pitchers are rested. Their coaching staff is rested. Their bats are rested. LSU faced now that was 5 elimination games coming into the game on against Wake Forest. Now we've got a 6th elimination game, and it just takes its toll. Not an excuse, but it explains it to where I think that's why you saw a lot of the errors yesterday. I think it was out of fatigue more than anything. And I even noticed it on Saturday night late in the game, if you notice, Milazzo, the catcher, short-armed a couple of pitches that went to the backstop. And I immediately turned to the guy next to me. I said, that's fatigue. I said, I've been a catcher. I was a catcher for 12 years. I remember catching doubleheaders and, concentrated games in short periods. I said, that arm didn't go up because he's tired. Yeah. And you could see it yesterday. And look, it wasn't just on the field. It was in the stands. It was at the hotel. It was the families. You looked at the families. They look like they've been through the Baton Death March. I mean, just, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, sending off the players from the hotel at the Hilton, having them come back, trying to lift them up. I mean, it has been unreal. And yeah, I think because of our fan base, we live life to the fullest. We're not poker players. You know exactly what we feel, how we feel, when we feel it. We live that way. We love that way. We eat that way, and so you saw it on full display. Now, having said all that, I'm up here hoarse on a Monday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, coffee in hand. We will rally, or we're gonna die trying. They'll be tiger fur one way or the other come game time in. I don't expect that same type of performance. I think once we hit the fourth inning, once that pop-up, honest to God, it was a pop-up. I watch it. That pop-up drifted, and went out for a grand slam. On Wednesday, that ball's caught halfway through the outfield. Okay, so that's the way it was. Jay was smart enough to know in the fourth inning that it wasn't our day. We all knew it. And so we pitched, in fact, I was hollering, hell, pitch infielders. Well, pitch bat and practice till the dang thing's over. Don't waste your arms because we're so short on arms. So, we'll come back today. I have no idea. Not even a thought of what's going to happen pitching-wise. I don't know if Skeens can go. I don't know if he's got anything in the tank. They can't certainly hurt this kid's arm. You can't do it even for a national championship. Though he would drag his carcass out there to pitch. It's going to be pitched by committee. It's going to be every man, every hand on deck. We're going to be loud. We're going to be proud from the very first pitch, and we're going to leave it all out there. And I will tell you, I have been to many sporting events over my lifetime, many. For the duration, the ebbs and flows, the highs and lows, the saturation of action, the true beauty of the sport, all the way down to the minutia of every pitch and how important it is. I've never experienced what I've experienced here in Omaha through the College World Series. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen anything like it. Now, we hear a lot during the regular season about the grind. And we've had during SEC basketball, remember John Brady, Coach Brady said, these guys are talking about the grind. And I said, they're playing two games a week. He said, that's right. He goes, the NBA, you might play 4, sometimes you might play 5. You get into Major League Baseball,
that's the
162 games, 4, 5, 6 sometimes. Throw in double headers in there. That's what, when these kids all say, I can't wait to get to the league, this is what it's going to be like.
Right. That's right.
And it's the survival of the fittest and the wills. And mentally, you could tell, Frank, yesterday, we were watching on the color TV, you could tell in the body language of LSU. Yeah. It's not that they didn't care, but they're going, man, I can't find it. But they will today. Look, this is why we love sports, because this is where that term, you got to find excuses to win. It doesn't matter how bad it is. Squeeze your hand as hard as you can.
You got to reach down.
All right, now squeeze it a little harder, because Florida wants to win too.
That's right. Oh, hey, look, it's reaching down, and it's coming up with a haymaker. When you've been pummeled, you've been knocked. By the way, you want to know how long 3 minutes is? Go get in a boxing ring. I did some boxing training once. Being a good Irish kid, I think it was all Irish Catholic kid. I think it was all in our background at some point.
Absolutely.
My dad and my uncle used to take me over to the New Orleans Police Department gym, where they had the big body bag and the speed bag, and you going at it, right? Let me tell you something. You go hit a body bag for 3 minutes and the bell rings. You have no idea how long 3 minutes is. Between that and public speaking for 3 minutes or on the radio show when your wife can't make it because she's sick and you got the Duffy Realty radio hour and you got to fill in a tire. That's how long that is. Well, right now, this and you're right. Major League Baseball does this. They play 6 to 7 games a week, sometimes 7 games a week. But these college kids, you got the 3 SEC games on the weekend, and then you got 2 normally local schools that come in to play. So 5 out of 7 games is the most that they'll normally experience. So what you saw was you got to that end yesterday, and you're right, it was physical. That's why you have the errors. Playing baseball as long as I did, it's not a lack of focus even. It's just physical. You're just tired from the grind.
Yeah.
And you could see, man, it all happened yesterday. And you got to remember the last 3 nights leading up to that, they were it wasn't just execution. It was will on display for 27. Well, really, no, by 32 innings, right? So all that to say, yes, it's a difficult grind. But when you're here, you know that you can play that many games if you put yourself in a hole. So there's no excuses. And if you want to come out of here with a national championship and have a ring and be able to tell your grandchildren what you were able to do 50 years from now, these kids are going to have to suck it up, come back out, pitch, hit.
Yep.
And, the clutch hitting that we've got 1 through 5 has been incredible, but that's why we've been leaving so many men on bases. We haven't gotten it from 6 through 9. They've got to come with a better game. We know what to do. We know how we have to do it. That's both players, coaches, and fans. Because let me tell you something. LSU has the 12th man in there. Or in this case, the 10th man. We do have that. And yesterday we could have been better, and we were down. So everybody in purple and gold, whether you're in the upper deck or you're on the bench, today is the day. You got to do it, or you'll have regret, and you don't want regret.
Yeah, this is an interesting observation made by a listener. And Hiram, it really blows my mind. Yule Gibbons from Live Oak, Florida, just texted us and said, I'm a mechanical engineer, and everything I do, I plan. And he said, how many fewer games has Florida played compared to LSU? That comparison would make sense and put things in the vernacular for the average man. Well, let's do the math. They were in the winner's bracket. They didn't lose. They played 3 games, had a bunch of rest. Then they played their 4th game against LSU Saturday, their 5th game on Sunday, and today will be their 6th game. Now, how many games again has LSU played?
Well, today will be our 8th, so we played 2 more games.
Okay, that's a monumental difference in terms of pitching and arms. And we all know the scouting report on LSU all season long, even when they were number 1. Look, the poet John Keats famously said, you can carve up a man, bring him back from the dead, do whatever you want, you can find his bad side. Everybody's got warts, cankers, and blemishes.
Yeah.
LSU's pitching staff was never considered to be all that deep. When you've got a guy like Paul Scaines, some people forget they have other pitchers. And Frank, you've done a great – that description you gave is so true. Think about it, the players – now they're starting to realize, thank God, that's why almost half the players on Major League Baseball rosters on opening day this year had played at 4-year colleges. And the draft is starting to reflect that. These kids are getting a dose of, holy cow. You go to Omaha, and I'm going to tell you what, it is like the buildup when you're 9 years old to Christmas Day.
No doubt.
It is so exciting. I mean, people are always like, hey, I can't wait till we get there. Enjoy the ride. This is absolutely why we love college sports, Frank. And your coverage, I'm going to nominate you for an Emmy, several Emmys. and I'm also going to put Rhonda up for sainthood.
Better.
Beatification. Listen, you wouldn't believe what I get over here at the farm if I hear any more talk about duck hunting and deer hunting. I'm lucky I haven't been. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up one morning with an axe through my chest. Right?
Well,
that's why this morning I was scared to call you because Rod's going, Rhonda may answer the phone.
Well, here's the thing. When you lead up to it, you're so excited to get here. Omaha. Yeah. I mean, look, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You go into the Emerald City. I mean,
like going to Six Flags when you were a kid.
You know, we beat Kentucky. We're out of the woods. And then you get here, and look, you know, your momentum coming in. You know, we beat down Tennessee. Everybody was excited. Lost that tough game at Wake. Okay. Then all of a sudden you realize, holy mackerel, we see what's in front of us. We got to win 3 ball games day after day after day just to get in. And look, when you come back and have to play Tennessee again, and when you thought, because you beat them the first, it's almost like having to beat Alabama in a damn national championship twice in the same year for football. Yeah. You have to beat them again, but then you get by them, and then you've got the number 1 team that you got to get to. And you get a pitching performance. The guy that pitched yesterday, Ackenhausen, had that incredible performance. And then you had Skeens come back. And again, close game. And I think one of the best baseball games I've ever witnessed, that pitching duel between, us and Wake. And then you come in and you win the emotional first game. It's like a roller coaster. But the roller coaster never ends. It never comes into the station. You know, it's going to come in tonight at 9:30. That's when the ride's over. And you just hope that you've done whatever you needed to do to be the team that's on top. And look, by all means necessary, that tonight is it. Pinch hitters, freaking pitchers, you name it. It's all out there. You know, if your arm is not in a sling, you can be potentially used. And look, I don't care if you're a slugger. If there's a guy on first base and you're down a run, you're going to be called on to bunt. You better lay down that bunt. It's whatever it takes for that team to win. And that's what we love about sports. It's you're in the fox. Again, I hate to use another military analogy. You're truly in a foxhole with these guys that you worked through since fall ball. They started hitting fungos back in August. I mean, So it's what we love about sports, Rob. It is the greatest unscripted drama that there is, short of actual war. Other than actual war, this is the closest that we get as men to have some sort of physical combat is sports. And that's why the Olympics are so great, and why, the history of them. So it's just it's incredible to be here. It is a bucket list item that I've always wanted to do. The fact that my team is 9 innings, or at the way it's going in this one, 14 innings away from hoisting a national championship trophy, and having these kids ride off in LSU lore, where so many greats have come before: baseball, basketball, football, you pick the sport. And to have that opportunity, they don't come around often. Ask Dan Marino what happens with opportunities when you think they're going to come around again. You got to take it. And look, I'm talking to my fan base as well. We got to be in there. We got to be loud. We got to be proud. We got to be raucous. We got to help them out. And if you do and you're successful, you go home a champion. And if you don't, you know that you laid it all on the altar of battle, and you give it your all.
And look, that statistic that Jerry Kirby, our friend up in Clarksville, Tennessee, who's our football genius, college and NFL, it's unbelievable, put that stat out last week that he researched. The last 17 quarterbacks who went to the Super Bowl and lost in their first time ever never went back.
Never went back.
That's why you got to, the term, you may not be feeling it. You may be tired. You may have, these people that are always calling in sick, they're just looking for excuses. I'll tell you something. The difference in a salaried company, especially a government agency, and a commission company is on a snow day. On a snow day, the parking lot at a commission place with clients all over the country and the world, like what I work in, it's full. You know what? The people that run it, the sales manager in advance says, okay, look, all you guys got those damn trucks and SUVs with four-wheel drive. Let's
pick
get
up
them to
everybody
use.
else.
And you get your sales assistants. You get all the back office people that clear the checks, that do everything. You've got to take care of them and order food in. This is a full maximum effort event. And you know what? It ain't going to be hard to motivate Florida. It ain't going to be hard to motivate LSU. No. And when it's all said and done tonight, you're going to see again why we love sports, and you're going to see some things happen today guys didn't think they could do in their lives. And they're going to remember it when they're 80, 90, and 100 years old, having the Walker Olympics, walking down the hall at the retirement home or whatever, because they're going to remember what they did tonight. And that's what we love about sports. That's why we have movies. And you are a horse junkie. And you and Dave Tompkins talking about Secretariat. Think about all the great horse movies that we've seen over the years. And the horse wasn't feeling it. There's every number. You know what? Stop making excuses, America. Start finding excuses to win and quit whining. We have a new term now in America. It's called BMW. You know what that is?
What's that?
Bitch, moan, and whine.
Well, hey,
we don't have time for those people.
No. Hey, let me tell you, look, I don't even have to watch a movie. The real race that I think of all the time when I think of really two races, two rivalries in racing. First of all, it was Affirmed and Alydar. It was 1978. Young Steve Cawthon was the jockey riding Affirmed in those pink silks. And him and Alydar raced 3 Triple Crown races, and they were not more than separated by a neck in all 3 of those races. And Affirmed won every one of them. He won the Triple Crown, okay? Alydar, a vanquished foe, but a magnificent foe. Majesty in the effort, right? Then you go to Easy Goer Sunday Silence, which was my first Derby ever to see it live, 1989. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Pat Day was up on Easy Goer. I loved Easy Goer.
Yeah.
I had my money on him. Sunday Silence won the race. Sunday Silence won the Preakness. But Easy Goer hung in and wound up winning the Belmont and kept the other one from winning it.
Yeah.
LSU, Florida, in this World Series, with as incredible as this World Series has been, I think one of the best. I mean, again, I'm jaded because I'm here watching it, but even if I was home, this would be one of the greatest World Series with the talent that was here, the creme de la creme, the way the games were played and won and comebacks. And I mean, you had it all here. I mean, it was all here. But if these two teams come down to this last run for the finish line tonight in this race, that I'm telling you, it wasn't a 6 furlong sprint. This baby was the Belmont, 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
You come down and you come to that final place, and they're both kicking, and they're both urging their horses on, and we'll take what happens at the finish line. You give it your all, and if you do that, you never have to worry about looking in the mirror. It's the guy that doesn't give his all that has to worry about it. So, you know, we'll see what happens tonight. We've got a great foe. We obviously know him well. You know, having another conference rival here, you know, playing them also, I think, adds to the spice of it. There's been some really good-natured jawing going back and forth in the stands. Very good.
Sure there has.
Very good nature. You know, Ron and I went out to have a good steak dinner. I needed a good end to the day yesterday, so we went out to a restaurant called the Drover, which is a great old school restaurant. Bourbon glazed steaks with the big baked potato. And so we were sitting across from these two guys that were Florida fans, and we were just yucking it up, talking it up. I mean, it was great. We gave our needles here and there. You know, he said, "Hey," he goes, "Yeah, I was at the game today. That was something." I said, "Yeah, can you imagine how those pop-ups were flying out in the jet stream? I mean, we were boom, one was going right back at the other, right?" So we'll be on full display tonight. Grab your popcorn. Make sure you're there. You get a comfortable seat, because there's no telling what can happen. Because Rob, it's unscripted. All I will tell you is that we will bring our all. I know Florida will bring their all, and it will be a spectacle for the country to see.
It will, and you're talking about just the mental part of it. There's, when you're out riding or running for your morning workout early in the morning when it's cold, it's dark, and the wind is blowing at your face. You know what you do? You embrace it, because you know how good you feel when you finish it. That's what motivates people to mentally push through obstacles that they face in life. And I can hear the wind in the background on your mic out there. And having hunted a lot out in South Dakota and Iowa, there's not a lot to stop that wind. There's shelter belts. Yeah, a few trees. There you go. It's look, if you grew up watching Gunsmoke and you still do, you're right. You're not that far from Dodge City.
Hey, if
Matthew had that soul, Frank Duffy. God, no, Doc needs to get him some whiskey.
Hey, I'm thinking about bringing Bengal One just to stop the wind from coming through that damn stadium tonight. I joke with a buddy. I joke with a buddy of mine. We were all moaning about how hot it was, and there was no wind on Wednesday when we were playing Tennessee.
Yes.
Tuesday we were playing Tennessee, and Wednesday we were playing Wake. And then as Florida was hitting them damn pop-ups and they kept carrying over the damn fence yesterday, I was like, to hell with this. I want to go back to where it was like zero wind, let pitchers have a shot. So no, it's not going to be as bad as it was yesterday. Thankfully, you can see it. Look, it's tossing that one little tree around pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, but hey, look, there are no excuses. We both play in the same. It's like being on a football field. Hey, if it's snowing, I'm playing in snow. You're playing in snow. You don't worry about it. You do the best you can. You put it out of your mind. Yeah. You go forward with it. But I'm telling you, Rob. Sitting out here, I could have slept till noon today. Honest to God, I could have slept till noon. And it literally passed through my mind. I said, nope, I got business to do. We got Tiger Air stuff we're doing today for our company.
Yep.
I said, I want to be on with Rob. I got another buddy of mine that wants me to be on his TV show from here tomorrow morning. I said, so I'm a prep for that. And so I'm getting up, I'm doing this, but look, I didn't feel like it. The players, when they get up, they're going to put the cleats on, and look, it's going to be on. You can't say I'm tired. You can't say I'm distracted. You can't say – you can do it yesterday because we had one to give. Don't have it now. And now everybody's got to be all pulling together, and that's how you win. That's how you win at life. That's how you win at championships.
Yeah, and this game, there are three teams, Florida, Wake Forest, and LSU, just in a league by themselves. And you almost wish that you could have Florida, LSU, and Wake Forest just slug it out, for a few more days. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how much more people can take. At Wake Forest, they'll be back, and LSU will be back, Florida will be back. And the other five teams were really good. But what LSU's done, those two extra games, that really is tough to do. And, in Paul Skenes, I think we brought it up on the show Saturday. Somebody did. It may have been, I know who it was. It was Dan Matthews one day last week. Said, do you think, he asked Butch Thompson, I believe, could you see a scenario where Paul Skenes went and knocked on Jay Johnson's door and said, hey, I can go tonight. Give me the ball. And that's the kind of stuff that, history, traditions, and heroes. That's what's going on out there in Omaha today. What time is the first pitch tonight, Frank?
6:07 Central.
Okay. Yeah. And so those guys are in ice baths and resting, and you could even see in Ackenhausen yesterday, the big guy. You could tell he went out there and was like, man, I was walking on water, Wednesday night, but not today.
Well,
and they tried everything they could.
Well, like I told the guy in front of me yesterday, I said, listen, that's the difference between finding out you're pitching your very first start, and it happens to be in the College World Series, like Ackenhausen found out, back on, I'm losing so many days. Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, I think. Yeah,
Wednesday. So he found out, but don't forget, he slept through Jay Johnson's text. So Jay Johnson texted him at 9 in the morning. The big boy was in there, snoozing until 11:30. He didn't know. And I said, you know what? That's really probably why he pitched so well that Wednesday night, was he had no time to think about it. It's like the backup quarterback that comes in, and your starting quarterback goes down in Bryant-Denny Stadium in the first quarter, and he gets to go in and play Alabama when you're on the road. If he knows he's going in 6 days before, he's going to be a nervous wreck. Well, that's what you saw at Ackenhausen yesterday. He had too much time. He knew once that game was over with on Wednesday, if we were getting into the show, he knew based on that performance, he was getting a pill again. So he was thinking about it for 3 days, right? So I think that played a little bit to do with it. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Just, hey, coach, when you want me, hand me the damn ball, and I'll go out there and I'll start warming up. I don't want to know about it before.
I heard him saying that one of the guys on ESPN yesterday said LSU's got 3 or 4 big boy left-handed pitchers, and they like to sleep in. And they talked about it was an early text to him, and he didn't wake up till 11:30 or 12. I cannot remember the last time I slept until 11:30 or 12. I'm instinctively going to get up. I don't know how people do it.
Mitch and Rob, I thought about it today. That's how friggin' tired we are. I said, if I get up at noon, I give me a little breakfast at noon, I'll be ready for game time. It actually came through my mind. But hey, I had to be on here with you fine fellas, man.
Thank you. Well, and I've got a little narcolepsy in there. My dad, a full-blown narcoleptic. Everybody that knows him, the man sleeps through an election and gets but it is your Mitch, I know you stay up late writing. That's when you do a lot of your best work. And a lot of your best work probably, as Buddy Martin has said, ends up wadded up on the floor in the trash can. The other people would think is great. But you've been watching this, man, College World Series. You're down in Tupelo in Mississippi, the center of the universe in college baseball the last few years, covering all that Cotton State's baseball. How excited are you about watching this World Series? And also, it's like when we were 9 and 10 years old, man, we got that bike we wanted. Christmas Day has come, and late Christmas night at 11 o'clock, you're in there with your brothers and sisters sitting in there looking at all the carnage, the wrapping paper and the bows and everything. And you're going, now it's another 365 days. I got to find other things to get excited about now, but you got to love this, Mitch, don't you? And you're going to write a lot about it too. So let her rip.
Good morning, y'all. Frank, it's good to see you amongst the living today. It does feel like Christmas to me, because here's why. Yesterday, went back home to Memphis for my grandfather's 80th birthday and surprise birthday, and stopped at a liquor store there in Lakeland, Tennessee, a brand new liquor store, and found myself finally a bottle of Blanton's.
Wow.
Very excited about that. I've been looking all over.
I saw that picture you sent last night.
That's great.
I was excited.
We're going to take a break here in just a second, but you got a bottle of a new liquor store in Lakeland?
In Lakeland, Tennessee, at the Lakeland District, they have some kind of new, liquor store. What was so cool is I unboxed it last night and, put it on my bar cart, and had noticed the bottling date was 5 days after our wedding. And so I thought that was
cool.
I thought that was a pretty cool.
Might have to save that one for a while.
That's cool.
Hey,
I'm not going to
hold up, Mitch and Frank. Hold those thoughts. We're going to take a quick break. You were speaking about a prize fight. Think about it. 45 minutes long, the workouts at rumbleboxinggym.com. I'm telling you, I do that. It's incredible. Frank, great analogy. We'll be right back. More baseballs.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Right, Frank Duffy up in Omaha. The winds howling. Mitch Davis down in Tupelo, Mississippi, and Lakeland has a liquor store. I never knew they had one out there. I mean, I used to go to Lakeland to the playland out there a lot, and I go out there a lot. I've had a lot of clients out there over the years. In Arlington is where the MSSA, the Memphis Sports Shooting Association, the gun club is out there. All 14 stations, and it is an incredible shooting range out there. Mitch. Frank's been talking. Listen, this is day 26 of his odyssey that he began aboard Bengal 1, a 3-hour trip, cruise, let sail on the board. Hey, I'll never forget it. He goes, Real Rhonda and I are heading from Columbia, Missouri, heading toward Kansas City, Rob. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Yellowstone and have this dream trip. And he goes, but if the Tigers get to Omaha, I'm turning this baby around, and we're going to the duration. Remember SpongeBob 26 when that little sand flea, plankton, or whatever, they would say, day 26. I was like Jacques Cousteau.
Rob, that was 4 Saturdays ago when I was I was broadcasting in the RV driving from Columbia.
As he was driving, Mitch.
Yeah, we were passing Arrowhead Stadium, in the background. I was like, dude, that feels like it was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I've got video of him. All the shows are logged if you want to go to sidelines.live. Mitch, he's driving the RV and everything. And day 26. I mean, this is an odyssey, Mitch. Mitch, you should be writing something about Frank's journey. But Mitch, you've been watching this, man. Mitch loves baseball. Mitch is just, that like Mitch could be a young, like Buddy Martin, just that guy that just loves to write and can tell a story. But Mitch, your observations up to this point, how good is this baseball on a 1 to 5? 1 being god awful, 5 being incredible, and
I would
6
say
being
easily,
off the charts.
I would say easily a 10.
Every guy like that.
That we've ever seen. I mean, top to bottom, and obviously, Mr. Frank, I'm rooting for your LSU Tigers tonight because I've met Rodney Belesso, Cade's dad. I got to tailgate with him last year in Hoover. Been texting him and texting my other LSU buddies that are out in Omaha partaking in the Jello shots and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm rooting for LSU. Tonight is going to be one of the best game threes we've ever seen. And what's so fitting for a great year that we've had in college baseball? I mean, you look across the sport, and obviously Mississippi has been down with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Southern Miss had a great year, and I really hate that they came a game short of Omaha because that would have been very fitting for Scott Berry to get to Omaha finally and get that monkey off his back. But, Southern Miss had a great year. They won the Sun Belt. But this has been really, truly the best college baseball season that I can remember. And really over the last 4 to 5 years, we have really seen like an uprising of fan support, not only just with the blue bloods like LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and so on, but we have seen across the board at places like Arkansas State. They were packing out the stadium when Memphis came to town. Look at places like Oral Roberts.
They brought it here. TCU.
They brought a lot of fans. They sold 4,000 Jello shots, which is incredible for a Christian university.
Absolutely.
And you look at college baseball as a whole, and you look at the product that is on the field. You look at the fan support, and people are realizing that, hey, we can go out to the ballpark and have a football-like environment in the spring and during the beautiful weather. And, I love college football, and I'm very excited. And probably Tuesday morning, actually, I'm going to take a day off. Wednesday morning, I'm going to start writing some college football previews and sending out emails to coaches to have them on the podcast. I'm going to take a day or so off. But people are realizing that they can go to college baseball games, have that same type of atmosphere, the tailgating, the all-day affairs. And because a lot of these college baseball games don't start till 2:30, 3 o'clock, and later in the day as well. And people are realizing they can get out there and go all weekend and tailgate at their respective facilities. Weather is usually great down here in the South, but it's not just the Southeast that is growing. Look at places like UConn. Look at Storrs, Connecticut, and look at the crowds that they were drawing this year. Even Memphis, as bad as Memphis was drawing about 1,000 to 2,000 every game, and the crowds are growing. We've seen them at the College World Series. The matchup between Oral Roberts and TCU drew 20,000 fans on a random Tuesday afternoon at the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. That's what we're seeing. The game tonight's going to be great. Whatever happens is going to happen. But I really think we really need to spend time talking about the popularity and the way that college baseball has grown, and not only in markets like in the Southeast, but all across. And I think people still support their Major League Baseball team. Like, I'm going to go see my Cardinals play on July 22nd when they play the Cubs in St. Louis, as bad as the Cardinals are. But people are realizing that college baseball is an event that they can go to all day, that they can tailgate, that they can turn their RVs around after an odyssey of 26 days of going to Yellowstone and great places like you've been, Mr. Frank. And that's what college baseball is. And I've been fortunate. I've seen a lot of games. I've not been to Alex Box State. I've been to LSU for football and basketball, but never been to the box. But I've been to the Dew this year. Mississippi State, they were terrible. They won 25 games this year, and they still had 16,000 people every SEC weekend, because I went to 4 of those series this year. That's what college baseball is, and people are starting to kind of wake up and go, hey, you know what? Now that it's more accessible, now that it's on the SEC network and every game, and you can either agree or hate it or whatever, but everybody has ESPN Plus. You can stream every college baseball game on ESPN Plus, and the ones that are not, you can pay the $25 for that 1 month subscription to Flow Sports, like we all do, to watch those early preseason games. And I think that's what we fail to realize when we're having a monumental matchup like we're having tonight against Florida and LSU.
Yeah, college baseball has never been better. It's never been more popular.
Yeah, and Frank, along the lines of what you're experiencing firsthand in Omaha, Mitch, what you're talking about, Mississippi State and LSU, if you go back in the early and mid 80s, that's when ESPN, which started in 1979 up in Bristol, Connecticut, started showing baseball. And they started focusing on these populist baseball movements at Dudy Noble Field, the Left Field Lounge, and LSU, Alex Box Stadium. That's where it really began. Now, they'd had great baseball with Rod Ditto at Southern Cal, won a dozen national championships. Augie Garrido won a bunch at Texas. But those crowds in Los Angeles, they're sipping sprinkled water and eating brie and quiche and, walking around in their Garanimal outfits. There's nothing like these crowds in the Southeastern Conference. And the crowds in Texas are cool. They're good. But that Left Field Lounge in LSU, that's what put college baseball on the map. And Ole Miss, Ole Miss has invested now, Yancey Porter told us, $128 million into their college stadium at Swayze Field in Oxford. And
it's still not the nicest stadium in the SEC. It's still not the nicest stadium it's like the third or fourth nicest stadium. And now, Rob, you see with Auburn. Look what Auburn's doing with Plainsman's Park. Look at
32 million. Yeah.
Wilson. Kentucky just built a brand new baseball facility. They're getting an indoor facility. Look at the crowds at University of Kentucky all throughout the season. They had jam-packed crowds. They had the beer sales, and people were out there having fun. I know my little sister who goes to the University of Kentucky. The students were out there tailgating for the big-time games. They were tailgating for the midweek game against Louisville. They were tailgating when Mississippi State came to town for the conference opener. That's what SEC in the Sun Belt. I want to give a lot of props to Keith Gill at the Sun Belt Conference, because he has made the Sun Belt into a national brand. I look at, the AAC or whatever you call Memphis's conference now.
Yeah.
They put out something today about adding the 6 new members to the American Athletic. You can't really get excited about that, but you look over at the Sun Belt Conference and look what the Sun Belt has done. They have brought the best people to put in that position. It used to be the American when the American was having UCF and Cincinnati and Memphis, but instead of getting ahead of the curve and maybe going after programs like Southern Miss, like your Arkansas State, the American kind of stepped back, and now they're allowing teams like Charlotte and North Texas, and the Sun Belt is one of these conferences that I foresee in the next 2 to 3 years that now when the Pac-12 implodes, when the ACC implodes, the Sun Belt is going to get some of those programs, maybe not all of them, but the Sun Belt is going to be one of those conferences that when we look back in the next 5 years, we go, man, 2023 was the year of the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah. Hey, Frank and Mitch, when I look around at, and this is an interesting observation from my good friend Dave Cody, who was in Austin forever, 36 years as a sports anchor. Texas just needs to be there. College baseball and Omaha are a big deal. He emphasized that to Texas. And I wasn't trying to say it wasn't. It's just that Texas has so much money and is so good in so many sports. This was their 63rd regional to the NCAAs this year. They had, swimming, track and field. They were into all that stuff big time before the rest of the country. They really were the first school in America that put gazillions into facilities, infrastructure, and sports. But I love what you just said,
without
Mitch,
the faulty light standards in Stanford, they could be here.
Yeah.
I mean,
who has more money? Yeah.
Could have been here.
Who's got more money? Yeah, you're right. Texas should have taken their own lights out there to Stanford. And I tell you what really makes me mad about Stanford. They're so pretentious and so elitist. The Stanford Cardinal. Look, I look out the window right now over here at the Cherry Farm. I don't see a cardinal. I see a lot of cardinals. Males and females are everywhere, redbirds. But they have a tree as a mascot, the Stanford Cardinal. Just say the Fighting Cardinals. That would sound better instead of the cheapskates that don't have lights, and Texas didn't get to go to Omaha. Texas, next time, Texas, if someone has to play in Stanford, they ought to take their own lights just in case. You ought to write a story about that.
All I can tell you is LSU leads the shot total. We're closing in on 60,000 shots. We broke Ole Miss's records of 18,000 shots. But Stanford, I am told, still holds the Chablis record over.
Oh, yes.
If y'all want to do the math, by the
yes,
way.
Muffy, let me tell you, this breeze is wonderful. The ambiance is exceptional. And these rubes from LSU are drinking shots. Look, those people are so uptight and so unhappy. Lighten up, Francis. Mitch, you need to write a story about what he just said. And when I said those cheapskates, hey, get Stanford some lights.
This is the total: $300,000 for 60,000 yellow shots at the LSU fans. I've heard through the grapevine, and Frank, you're up there, but I've heard through the grapevine that there is a certain Mr. Joe Burrow that's going to be stopping Rocco's at some point today. I don't know, man.
Joe's been here for 2 days, and his brother has a restaurant here in town.
Really?
So when we were meeting over at the hotel, the Hilton, where the Tigers are, there was some apparently gossip going around that people were trying to see if they could get in for brunch over at Joe's brother's place. So no telling, man. But
and
yeah,
you're gonna have
Joe Cool is here
Dunn in attendance today. She put on Twitter or Instagram that Livy Dunn, the gymnast, is going to be there. And rumor has it, I was listening to Matt Moscato of the ESPN radio down there in Baton Rouge, and he was saying that supposedly Livy Dunn is now dating Paul Skeens, which is an LSU power couple in the making right there. That's incredible.
Hey, look, we might need you tonight. Y'all start dating tomorrow.
Stay focused, Paul.
In Rocky, like Mickey said, women weaken legs.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Wait, Rock, you're a bum. Remember Burgess Meredith? Come on, Rock, you're a bum. You're all washed up. You're quitting. You're feeling sorry for yourself. You're worried about that old broad of yours. You got no time for her. You don't belong to the ring. Come on, Rock. Come on, you're a bum. You're a bum, Rock.
Guys, I think a lot of LSU aristocracy, let's put it that way, will be coming in. I'll be shocked if Shaq's not here. Honest to goodness. Look, we could use the reinforcements. That's all I'm going to tell you. If they want to show up, y'all come on in, fly those private jets. We can use you. Hey, us rank and file troops can use you.
Yeah, Curly Hallman is on the way.
No.
So are we going to see Paul Skeens tonight?
Well, I don't know. We were talking about that earlier, Mitch. Honest to goodness, I don't know. He's had only 3 days rest since pitching against Wake. I thought going into the weekend, okay, if we make it to Monday night, you might see him in an inning or two of relief. That was my thought. Then I've had people tell me, they go, with his makeup, with his personality, and from what I understand, when the players get up, pitching every morning, they're basically tested. There's metrics that are done on the strength of their arm, the strength of their shoulder. From what I understand, he will probably go through those tests, and from what I hear, it's a pass or fail. If he passes the structural test, it's really up to him and Jay Johnson and the powers that be of what he pitches and when he pitches. If he passes that,
realistically, guys, we could see some kind of bullpen combination of Thatcher Hurd, Paul Skeens, Riley Cooper, and then throw somebody else out there. Maybe is it Galtry, the Gavin Galtry?
Guidry, but he pitched yesterday.
Yeah,
Guidry pitched. Now he didn't pitch a lot, so I mean, you might see him as well. Now he's an interesting one because he's the one that gave up both home runs. The one against Tennessee came in for one pitch, they got taken out. But he's also got spit and fire. He came in against Wake, and I think it was 2.5 really good innings against Wake. The first guy he came in, mowed him down with 3 pitches. He did the exact same thing yesterday. Came in and got the first Florida guy on 3 pitches, and then the Florida guy popped it up, and the wind took it right out. So I think, and by the way, right when I said that, another gust just hit me. I don't know if that's in writing. We call that exposition. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That just hit me when I said that.
It's a
I'm hoping it's good. I hope we get some Tommy Tanks hits going up into the jet stream too. Yeah. But I don't know, Mitch. I think honestly, if you ask me, watching LSU all year, knowing what Paul Skeens is, I think it's a couple of innings. I think it's late in the game. If and when we're trying to hold a 1-run lead or we're down, we're in a close game, you might see him for a couple of innings. I would be absolutely floored and absolutely shocked, especially if you saw him start this game. I'd be absolutely shocked.
But I will say that I think that one thing that's going to help LSU tonight, and I've got to get off at 9 because I got to go to a meeting at about 9:20 right up the road in New Albany at our office here. But I will say one thing that's going to be really interesting to me is see how LSU can respond. Because so many times as NCAA tournament, I can count in the Baton Rouge Regional. Then you go on to the College World Series, they were facing elimination. When LSU's back's against the wall, they come out fighting. And I fully expect LSU to come out here. They're going to play pissed off. They're going to play like their ass is on fire. They're going to play all these different things. That's in the advantage of LSU. Florida's going to come in here. Florida's a really good baseball team. It wouldn't shock me if they win tonight. But Florida is just this team that has not faced that adversity just yet. They have not been up against the wall. They swept through the regional, swept through the College World Series, and lost the game 1. We saw how they responded. But LSU has been here multiple times throughout not only the regular season, but in the NCAA tournament as well. And LSU has been battle-tested. Florida, man, they've been so dominant. They won the series early throughout the SEC. They'll lose game 3, but that's just part of how Florida has been this season.
This will be our 6th elimination game in 10 days.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what? This is the interesting thing. There are teams and there are people that race 5Ks and 10K races, and they win every race by a couple hundred yards. Then all of a sudden they get in a race with someone who's right on their back heel, and they don't know how to handle somebody chasing them. It's a little harder when you got to work for it, the full 60 or the full 9. Mitch, great description. You get better every time you're on here. I'm telling you, when we started, Frank, back in August of 19, this show, and Gordon Ford, our friend, introduced, Mitch, got Mitch to start coming on. Mitch was covering Memphis for, I think, Rivals at that time. You were still in school. And, Mitch, just to give people an idea, you may be a young Buddy Martin type, because think about this. How many games have you attended in person, college football, basketball, baseball, in the last 4 years? Give us a ballpark figure.
I think it's getting closer to 400. I mean, it was 300 last year, and obviously with baseball, basketball, and tournaments and stuff like that, it's probably closer to 400. And if I can just say this about my brand and what I'm very proud of what I've built, because I started off at a couple smaller websites, No Huddle Sports, Grueling Truth. A couple of those websites no longer exist. Got an unpaid internship with Rivals covering Memphis. Got to go all the way to the Cotton Bowl with the Tigers, and 2020 happened, and I'm a man of faith, and I'm a very deep man of convictions, and I get tired of some of the narratives that have been pushed in the national media, about COVID and about religion and about not standing up for what I believe in, because I'm very proud of my faith, I'm very proud of my Southern heritage, and I'm very proud of how my parents raised me and how my grandparents have been raising.
Right.
My family's been raising people like me for the last 200 years in the South. And, we were sharecroppers. We were dirt poor farmers. And, I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of where I come from. Very proud. I talk with the Southern dialect. I'm very proud of that.
That's good.
I decided that I wanted to launch my own website. And, I've had my podcast for 5 years. And, my website, about a month ago, I had written my 500th article for my website. And obviously it's grown a little bit, and being a one-man show, I don't do a lot of previews and post-game stuff. I do a lot of, featured articles. So if I can put out 1 or 2 pieces a week, and with the podcast, that's a really good week for me. And I've been very proud and very fortunate. And, now that I'm down here in New Albany, Mississippi, I got to do broadcasting for Max South Sports on Saturday, did color commentating on the color TV there, and really enjoyed that. And,
you picked up our lexicon, the color TV. I love it.
I work full time for Republic Finance, and just got married, and I really just have a deep passion for the Southeastern Conference and for the Sun Belt. I grew up, watching the Sun Belt. Grew up around Memphis and Southern Miss and UAB and
the old Fun Belt.
Yeah, Fun Belt. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends who play football at Arkansas State, and the Sun Belt. I tell people all the time, they want to say, what's the closest thing to the SEC, and I always tell them, it's not quite on the SEC level, but the Sun Belt, man, is a hell of a conference, and those people are wonderful people, and I've just been very blessed, guys, and I've met a lot of good friends, Mr. Frank, Rob, Gordon, the list goes on, and I'm just so blessed and so honored, and I know it's a cheesy thing to say, all glory to God, but
no, you're doing great. Mitch,
don't ever apologize for giving all the glory to God. We ain't got nothing without him.
That's right.
So free speech is alive and well. We don't apologize. We don't walk around on eggshells on this show. PC and all that crap, throw it out the window. Be who you are. I'll tell you something, Mitch.
We see a young Kevin Skarbinski in the making. You're
that's right.
You're going to do great.
That's what we want. And I'm going to tell you what, Franz Beard's on here with us right now, GatorbaitMedia.com. And Mitch, what you're saying is what we need more of. And Frank knows it, and Franz Beard knows it. As a young 24, 25-year-old writer who works your butt off covering all these games, don't back down. Don't get caught up in all the herd mentality. Say what you think you see. Reagan's farewell speech, he goes, if you think you see something, say it. Because you know what? You're going to regret it if you don't. But Mitch, the cool thing about what you're doing, and we need to get you hooked up with David Schultz, our friend, covers the Sun Belt, Locked On Sun Belt podcast and all. Dave's a regular on our show. He's in Lafayette, Louisiana, where the University of Louisiana is. But stand your ground, call people out, and I'm going to tell you something. We don't need to be preached to about what we believe in the South by a bunch of people that grew up playing stickball in Brooklyn, Philly, and Boston, okay? What we need are people who will stand up and say what they think. Franz Beard, I'm going to tell you something. And Franz is partners with Buddy Martin, GatorbaitMedia.com. And Franz, Mitch is one of our guys. He's been with us really, and Frank, since the beginning of this show. He's, mid-20s, covered. He just admitted to covering in person the last 4 years, right at 400 college football, basketball, and baseball games. And he's a connoisseur of fine bourbon and all things Kentucky. But Franz,
I love it.
What advice would you give a young journalist? Yeah.
Hey, Rob, hang on a second, guys. Franz, good luck to you Gators tonight. It's going to be awesome out there. We're going to love sharing the stage with y'all. I've got to go. I got some Jell-O shots to eat for breakfast. I'm heading. My wife and I are going to have some breakfast. Hey, love y'all. We'll talk tomorrow. And again, good luck to the Gators, but not too much, Franz.
Hey, all I can say is second place isn't bad, Frank.
All right, we'll see.
You get a nice trophy for second place, too.
Hey,
Frank, be careful. Thank you.
Go Tigers.
Frank, come back on tomorrow. I see you. All right, we've Frank. This is Franz. Just to give you an update. Day 26. Mitch, I know you got to get going to a meeting, but Mitch, just keep being and doing what you're doing because we need more young writers that have convictions that are not trying to be part of the quote cool crowd. Just be who you are.
Mitch,
best advice.
Mitch, I'm going to tell you what the late, great Jack Harston told me, one of the greatest college football reporters there's ever been. He hired me when I was still in high school, and he took me aside one day, and he said, the only piece of advice I'm ever going to give you, get the story. He said, the score isn't the story. He said, by the time you write, everybody will know the score. So that's not your story. The score is the people. And he says, you find the people who made the story possible. That's what you got to do. And it's the best piece of advice I ever got because it takes me about a minute and a half, maybe less than that, to read somebody and tell who understands what writing is about, which is getting the story, and who is there thinking that the score is the story. The people who think the score is the story are boring and nobody wants to read them. The people that actually understand that it's all about the people. It's all about why did the guy hit the 2 home runs yesterday for Florida when he had such a bad stretch? You realize he didn't play in May. And all of a sudden there he is. He is Mr. June. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Ty Evans is Mr. June. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits another one tonight because Florida is going to absolutely crush them again. You can count on it.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Mitch, I know you got to get to a meeting, but that's incredible. Jack Hairston, who he's talking about, the Gainesville Sun, Jesse Outler, Furman Bisher. These are the Mount Rushmores of Southern sports writers.
Rob, Franz, it's good to see you, and thank you so much for the advice. And, while I'm on here real quick, Rob, I am going to tease this just a little bit. I'm going to be dipping myself into women's college basketball this year. Have started becoming friends with Coach Yo at Mississippi State and Sam Purcell at Mississippi, or Coach Yo at Ole Miss and Coach Sam Purcell at Mississippi State. And also going to be doing a little bit of softball because the Southeastern Conference is growing, and we're going to have the addition of 2 great programs in Oklahoma and Texas. And I actually talked to Ryan Aber Thursday. The days are running together in the College World Series now. But Ryan Aber on Thursday about Oklahoma and about them joining the conference. And I'm going to be posting that podcast up here in the next couple of days. And, Franz, good to see you. Good to hear from you. Thank you so much for the advice. And, guys, I really appreciate y'all. It's always an honor to come on. And, I got to run to a meeting, but I really appreciate it. And, everybody just check out the website, themitchdavisshow.com. And the podcast is on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter, MitchDavis_8. haven't found a good fight to fight yet. Some of the guys I was fighting during COVID, Jeff Calkins and Dave Wolkin and a couple of those guys, they have now blocked me on Twitter because, I asked them, I was very candid with them, and I said, look, guys, if you guys want to come on my show, I'll come on your, articles, guess whatever you do, and we can have a simple, common, civil debate. And since then, they have decided that a young guy is not worthy enough to sit at the same table. So it is what it is.
Well, you know what they did? They went inside, locked the doors, and stayed home alone, and we're all happy for it.
But
Mitch, have a great day.
I really appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great one, and good luck to the Gators and good luck to the Tigers tonight. I look forward to watching a remarkable college baseball national championship. Yeah,
we will. We'll be getting you back on later in the week talking more, but thanks so much. Have a great day. All right, that is Mitch Davis, the MitchDavisShow.com. And you know what? I tell you, he got on board when we first started the show back August 9th of 2019. He started coming on again. He was an intern for Rivals covering Memphis, but that's what you got to love is I love that advice from Jack Hairston. It's like, could you go back and talk to Michelangelo? Could you give me some advice on how to paint a fresco? Rembrandt, Picasso. You think about all the great writers, the great sports writers, the great artists, the great musicians, if you could go back in time and talk to them. And you in high school getting to work for Jack Hairston. I mean, that's the best. I love that advice. It's not the score. Everybody knows the damn score. How'd they get there?
Who is responsible? So many times we hear these stories about, okay, Junior's dad is in prison and he's playing for dad. Oh, well, look at that. Mark Ingram wins the Heisman Trophy, and people don't realize he made that season. He dedicated that entire season to his father, who was a former wide receiver for Nick Saban at Michigan State, who ran afoul of the law, winds up in Club Fed, and Mark Ingram dedicated that season. That's a great story about a father and a son. The father made the mistake, admitted the mistake, paid for the mistake, and he's constantly advising his son, don't do what I do. You're better than that. And look what happened. Mark Ingram wins a Heisman Trophy. That's a story. That's a great story. I'll give you another great story that's out there that nobody seems to notice. Steve Spurrier, son of a preacher. Danny Werfel, son of a preacher. Cam Newton, who was started out at Florida, goes to Auburn, son of a preacher. I think when Florida gets its next Heisman Trophy winner, his dad will have to have been
wow. Think about that.
A preacher. And Auburn probably needs to go out and find one too. Find some guy, kid. But here's my point with that. What did all three of these guys have in common, other than the fact that their dad was a preacher? Impeccable character. Imparted on them by a dad. We're not that far past Father's Day, but it's something worth talking about, that we're missing this in society right now. Fathers who are actively involved in their son's life. And it bothers me because now I appreciate the moms who raise the kids, sometimes working 2 and 3 jobs at a time, to just to put food on the table and shoes on the feet of their kids. But as a society by the whole, we have an entire generation of people who less than 50% of them have a dad at home. And believe it or not, there is an athletic tie to this, because kids who have a strong dad behind them typically do well. I look at this recruit Florida has, this kid, DJ Lagway. who's coming here
Yes.
out from Willis, Texas. He is a kid who has a super strong foundation. His dad is very, very involved in everything. His dad is involved in this. He lets his son's talent take over, but he gets them the right coaching, but it gives them the right home environment, the right encouragement, the right values. And these are the things that he does. And as a result, this kid is going to be outstanding at the University of Florida. I have no doubt about it. He may end up being one of these Heisman Trophy winners. But we're missing that in our society, and we need somehow, and I don't know how, to get back to a point where a nuclear family was important. And it's going to be, and this needs to be for the future of our country, for the future of our society, but also for the future of sports. We need that.
Hold that thought, Franz. You're totally, absolutely right. You're knocking it out of the park. Matt Dean's on with us right now. That's why culture and family sell recruits on universities. We'll be right back.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Rob Browne back here, Franz Beard, GatorbaitMedia.com. Coach Matt Dean, Rhodes College, just back from Iowa. And hey, Matt, last night we were out running late, right about dark, and looked south of Park, and you could see, as Audrey put it, ominous clouds, a harbinger of things to come. And we got some rain here, and we thought we were going to get hammered, but we've been told by several friends in the last few minutes, power was out in a lot of Memphis and Collierville and Germantown. Did y'all get hammered out there where you live? I mean, was it a bad storm?
Well, good morning, Rob. Franz, great to see you as always, my friend. We had the lights literally flickering in and out. We thought we were going to lose power. It's coming down.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the umbrella down outside the deck. We had a pool party this weekend, and I didn't really look at the forecast very well. But fortunately, it was just heavy rain and lightning for us. And then, I have not left the house this morning, but I saw a lot of parts of the city. Besides power, we got power lines down. We got traffic lights messed up, which, as you know, is one of the biggest things that can really affect traveling in the community. But no, we're very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Yeah, because that would look like it was. I mean, it's amazing. You can be, we're 30 minutes from Front Street in downtown Memphis over here. We can see the city lights, but I could see it going south. I said, somebody's fixing to get whacked upside the head with a styrm, as my grandmother used to call them, a styrm, not a storm. But hey, Franz, your great stuff you were saying before the show. And Matt, it was really cool. Mitch Davis was on in that first segment with Frank Duffy in the first hour, day 26 of his Odyssey in Omaha. His wife is up for sainthood. She's like, how much longer? It's just, it's unbelievable. Frank is just walking the Green Mile. I think, no, it's all good, but he's cracking me up. But Jack Hairston's advice that he gave to Franz Beard was so cool. He goes, everybody knows the score of the game, but, before they go to bed. But it's the story of how they got there. You as a coach, as a player, and all like that, isn't that true? That Jack Hairston, again, should have a monument to him on the wall. The great writers in the press box at Florida simply because of that. The real story is how'd they get there?
For me, that's very true because, I was fortunate to have some great players, had some really good teams, some teams that made it to the NCAA tournament. But the games I seem to remember are those last-second losses for some reason. I remember we were up 2, and I got a three-quarter court 2-2-1 going on. They throw it over half court, just turn around, heave it at 3 at the buzzer, we lose. I remember we're playing fifth-rated team in the country in our gym. We're in a great play. We get a drop step lay for the buzzer. The ball literally is still hanging on the rim and falls off. But we still, us coaches, years later, and I know Franz is coach, we still know some of those tough ones and some of those great ones too. I mean, we know the how, the why, the what, the where, everything about them. We do.
John Calipari once told me, sitting in Orlando, we were I was sandwiched between Calipari and Bill Self. Yep. We're watching this kid named Kyrie Irving play. He was pretty good. Yep. As we were watching him, John Calipari told me, he said, I've had a bunch of wins, and I remember some of the critical ones. He said, but I remember every single loss.
Yeah.
He says, and what he said, and what I remember is what I did wrong to contribute to that loss. Never said, and this is one of the cool things about Cal. Cal will call people out, but he's never critical of it. When he calls them out, he'll say, okay, you've got to do better than what you're doing right now. You've got to make sure. But he doesn't sit there and say, boy, you're a dog because you can't hit anything, or because you're making too many fouls, or you missing out on rebounds. What he always does is he says it in an encouraging way. And this is what the great coaches do. Dean Smith, another guy who is one of my friends, one of the true gentlemen to ever be on the sideline. One of the great story people don't forget. Florida's down 8 with 8. North Carolina's down 8 with 18 seconds left against Duke. And, they get in the huddle. Bobby Jones tells me, he says, we're down 8. And he says, Dean's saying, okay, here's how we're winning the game. Now they come back and he says it's down to 4. There's a timeout because Dean had saved all his timeouts for the end of the game. And the first thing he says in the huddle is, "Dadgum, this is fun." You know? And coaches like that are rare. They end up a Walter Davis bank shot from 40 feet ties the game. Now, if there had been a 3-point shot, it would have been over. And Carolina wins it in overtime. But the cool thing about it is the story was what goes on in those huddles.
Yeah.
People made plays. Yeah, Bobby Jones makes a steal, gets a layup, etc., like that. Those were great plays. Tate Armstrong missed a free throw. Oh, my gosh. But the story wasn't those things. The story was what was going on in that huddle for 18 seconds. I think you may have been on the Friday when I was talking about a sports writer who won Sports Writer of the Year in North Carolina. The guy shows up at Carter Stadium, gets out of the elevator, leans against the wall, says, "Drunk again, boys." Walks over, puts his typewriter down, conks his head down on there, sleeps until the last 4 minutes when North Carolina comes back from a 28-6 deficit to North Carolina State. They end up scoring 20 points in those next 4 minutes. He woke up to see that, and all he wrote about was those 4 minutes, and he wins Sports Writer of the Year for that.
Yeah.
For seeing only the last 4 minutes. But he understood that. He got the story, Yeah. And you know that, Matt. I guarantee you, in the critical wins and the losses, you remember what you said in the huddle. Yeah. You remember the look of the faces that you see in the huddle when you talk about it. You remember that kid that late in the game you said something like, "Hey, you could make a difference in this ball game. If you'll do this, this, and this, you can be the difference maker. You remember the encouraging things you said. And that's the story. And we need people nowadays who focus in on what is the story. Florida 120.
Yeah. Well, interesting.
What's the story?
Yeah. Well, along the line of what you're saying, I was just asking Audrey, my friend George Gaddis's father told him and his brother and his two sisters years ago, he said, everybody knows about Helen Keller, not because she was blind, it was because of what she did, because there are lots of people who are blind that we don't know about. Maybe they didn't do anything, but they know about what Helen Keller did to overcome those obstacles. That's the story, and that's why she's talked about still to this day. And, I think, Matt, the cool thing about it, we can't read enough books and hear from enough people who played for these coaches. That story about Dean Smith, that's great. I mean, God, this is fun. 18 seconds left. You're down by 8. Matt, you're the coach. If you see body language on the sidelines at the end of a game in a situation like that that's not positive, they're not going back out on the court, are they?
No, and Franz hit it on the head. It's that talk with Calipari. And I actually know Bill Self. These coaches, they work so hard in preparation that when it doesn't go their way, that's part of the reason we remember some of these things too. It's not on the players, it's on us on the execution. I'll kind of bore you with a quick story of Matt Dean. As a young assistant coach, I go to Nashville, Tennessee for a clinic, and I listen to Hubie Browne talk about special situations for literally an hour. And I'm writing down plays and everything, and I'm going to bring it back to Coach Hilgeman. And we had this one play, late side out of bounds play that we could run. We felt like with 4 seconds, maybe 3 left on the clock. And we had practiced it for 2 years. And all of a sudden, with the game tied, 5 seconds to go, we call a timeout. And my boss turns to me, because I was the one in practice that always used to ran this play scout. He goes, Dino, draw up that play. And you talk about just a freak moment. I've never talked much as an assistant coach in the huddle at my career at that point. I got the board, and I'm kind of shaking. I'm putting everybody the spots they go. And I said, hey, look, if we don't get these first 3 options, Strouser, if you get the ball, turn and face, just go to the rim. And he did that. He made a lamp at the buzzer. We won, and I looked like a genius. But the reality is the kids executed the play. And and to me, it's kind of like what Franz said with Cal. I learned early on, when we win, they get all the credit. When we lost, it's on us as coaches to make it better next time.
Yes.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Your players play for you. They play hard. 3 things we talked about before we went on the floor. Play hard, play smart, play together. If you do those 3 things, boys or girls, you're going to have a chance to be in the ball game. And, that's what's fun. It's like it is fun. When you get in the huddle and you fought for 40 minutes or 39 minutes and 58 seconds and you got the ball, a chance to win the game, it's fun. Did our preparation beat theirs,
Yeah. Yeah. And both of y'all know this, having coached. And the one thing, you can scream and holler at people all you want. It goes in one ear and out the other. You better save it for those special occasions. And I think that the story of the championships, and you look at what goes on off the field. These guys and girls have regular lives. They've got siblings. They got moms and dads. They've got relationships. We don't know that in the big football game, 2 hours before kickoff, the star quarterback, his girlfriend may decide, I'm done with you. And how's his mindset going into that game? I remember in the 1983 Florida game we talked about the other day, 58 players on the Auburn and Florida rosters that played on that day. Auburn and Florida were both in the top 4 or 5 in the country. 58 went on to play in the NFL. That was incredible.
That's incredible.
Before that game, I was a student at Auburn, Bo Jackson, and I had a friend who was a manager on the team, had the flu. Bo was in the locker room throwing up, had fever, felt horrible, but he knew that he had 80 4 other guys on scholarship, plus the walk-ons and fans counting on him. He goes out and has 20 carries for 196 yards. Never once talked about, the fact that he was sick or whatever like that. And I think that the thing that coaches, why does anybody volunteer coach or get paid to get people to be better than they ever dreamed they could? And y'all both just laid it out. I love it. Play hard, play smart, play together. You think that doesn't apply in life and in business, Franz? I mean, God, that's the best advice. I love that.
Well, this is the thing about it, is that there are so many real stories and so many issues. A kid's, girlfriend breaks up with him before the ball game. Yeah. We've had situations, for example, in women's sports, and I don't mean to sound like I'm down on women's sports because I'm not. I coach women's basketball, but where you've got coaches who in this culture get fired because they set a rule that says to their girls, have a relationship with anybody you want to, but it better not be with somebody on this team.
Correct.
And we've seen, and I know of several teams that have gone south at the most critical moment in the world, that they needed. They're on a roll. They look like they're going to go for a championship, and suddenly the season just goes flat lines like this. And what's the reason? Because they had relationships going on inside the program, and the relationships blew up. That happens.
Yeah. No different than in an office. I mean, in work. I mean, just wow. I've heard some unbelievable stories, and I think we look at, as a coach, you've got also the assistant coaches underneath you. And by the way, I don't know, I saw this news Friday. Terry Price, longtime assistant coach at Texas A&M, passed away, and for 10 years. Man, one of the most likable and popular people, and man, rest in peace. He was so at Ole Miss, and everywhere he was, I know people that worked with him and coached with him had nothing but the highest praise for him. Mm-hmm. That is really, really awful news to hear. But you think about it, the relationships that Terry Price built over the years. I mean, what he unbelievable. And the 12th Man Foundation sent that story out from Texas A&M. You probably knew him, Matt, and you probably knew him as well, Franz.
Well, we tend to forget that behind every head coach, there is a group of assistants, and behind the assistants you have analysts and graduate students, etc., like that. It's like, Billy Napier got criticized by saying he was going to hire an army. But to be successful, you got to have an army. And whether that's at the Division III level, where you have a head coach, maybe with an assistant coach, a couple student managers, etc., that's your small army. We may call it a platoon, when you compare it to, say, what the big schools will have. You call that it's my platoon of one assistant coach, 3 student managers, and somebody who cleans up my equipment manager. That may be it.
Yep.
But just the same, wherever there is a coach, there are people behind him. And this is the tragedy of this is, not only does Jimbo now have to find a new assistant coach, but you've got to find that somebody that's going to have the relationship with all the people that are underneath. Lives are affected, and we don't. I am dismayed by the fact that coaches, kind of like what you were saying, Matt. Coaches get too much credit when you win, and they get too much blame when you lose.
Amen. You're right.
Yeah.
Rob, quickly on TP, because my son work with Terry, Coach Price. What a wonderful man. I know he was at Auburn for a long time. After the announcement came out, Tyler had texted me, reached out, we talked. I could tell it affected him. TP was besides a phenomenal husband, father and coach. Franz said he had a relationship with those guys.
Yeah.
I've seen Myles Garrett reach out. I've seen Bobby Browne III reach out. So he used to cook for the entire team and staff, and Tyler had the fortunate time 3 or 4 times he'd get there at 3 or 4 in the morning with them, and they'd start cooking the brisket and all the stuff they do. The barbecue people, which I wish I know some like yourself, Rob. And I can't tell you enough. And Franz hit it. For my staff, I had a full-time assistant. That's all I was budgeted for. But I had 2 part-time people. I had a student manager. I had a student assistant that would do the clock and everything. And, one of the things that I learned early on about this business is, man, I thanked everyone. I want to make sure the players knew this was a totality. This was not just a Matt Dean production. This was our staff. This was the players first. I was very appreciative of the parents for the most part. And there's always an exception to the rule. But that's a huge loss this time of the year. That's a huge loss for that program.
It is, and I think
can't replace him as person.
I think about this, that when they were at Auburn, Hugh Nall and Terry Price and Eddie Grant and Tommy Tuberville and Greg Knox and that whole staff, they stayed together, the core, for years. They called them the Barbecue Boys. And Terry Price, I know some people that had dealings with him and said he and his wife, I think she was maybe from Oxford, just salt of the earth people. And you think about I just think about relationships, when, one day Steve Spurrier is going to be gone, and that's going to be, wow. I hope that's a long time away, but I know Coach died out on a Monday, June 1st of 2020. 2 days later, Johnny Majors is gone. And Pat Dye Jr. was on the show right after that. And he said, he goes, 3 weeks ago, I don't think I could have come on this show, but I can tell you this, when Dad got to heaven, and Johnny Majors, Dad was already waiting on him, had the bar open for a cocktail to tell some great stories. And you think about those coaches and the people, the lives that they affect along the way. And I love what Pat Dye said, just bury me in a pine box out there at my farm, bury me under one of those old tumors, oak trees, so my roots will be around here for a long damn time. And you think about every coach that we encounter along the way in our lives. They're underpaid, they're undervalued, and they're damn sure underappreciated. You cannot thank enough the coaches that put a foot up your ass and don't let you quit and refuse to allow you to feel sorry for yourself. And that goes for teachers too.
Yeah.
That's why we love sports, because it is life laid out on a canvas. I mean, and then the writers come along and paint it, friends. And what Matt just said, I mean, Matt's son is, now is 27. He's had 4 years at A&M. He's in his 2nd year now with Dan Lanning at Oregon. One of these days, we're going to be begging Matt, can you please get Tyler on? He's the coach of Texas or Florida State or something, or maybe the Gators. Yeah, that's right. But
let me pass along something. I put it on my Facebook page a few days ago that ties in exactly to what Matt said. That what Matt said reminded me of this, and it really does touch your heart. It says, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude. That's what that is. And Matt, thank you for hitting on that. That was a terrific reminder of what it really is all about. And it truly is about this bit that you got to be thankful for what you got. It's like Matt coaches at Rhodes College. There's a lot of people that don't even know there's a Rhodes College. There's a lot of people that don't understand who Rhodes College is actually named after. Like they think it was Billy Bob Rhodes, you know, a guy that maybe had a hotel with ducks that go out, come running out the door, out the elevator door, or something like that. They don't understand all of the history and the stuff behind it, and all these things are important. And you know, we're older guys, but we got to preserve this stuff somehow, some way. Rhodes has a tradition. Rhodes has a great tradition of turning out outstanding people. You know, we forget about the coaches who long after they're gone, we look at all the people that are successful. They used to put in the back of the University of North Carolina media guide, they put a list of all of Dean Smith's lettermen and what they were doing.
Wow.
And you would see doctor, dentist, nuclear scientist, you know, congressman, senator, etc., like that. It was unbelievable, the list. You know how many people in all the years he coached? Do you know how many people didn't graduate who played for Dean? 2.
Wow.
That's it. People don't realize that he also had a neat system. If you want to leave school early for the pros, fine. You had to agree to put half of your bonus money in an account that would grow money until you got your degree.
Yeah.
Everybody
and that's
do it.
That's the smartest thing that you can do. I mean, put it away. And hey, Wes Moore is on with us, ESPN 103.7 The Buzz over in Little Rock. Proud native son of Jacksonville, Texas. And Wes, we were just talking about, we've talked a lot today about the College World Series. We were talking about Terry Price, longtime assistant coach who was at Texas A&M, who passed away late last week, and just the relationships. And you know, in your role, Wes, sports director, Fox Sports Channel 16 in Little Rock, daily sports show on The Buzz. You cover high school, college. You've been around. You cover it all. Is there anything more special than to watch these people that you cover go out and succeed in life and then tell their stories?
No, it's the whole. That's what sports can do for a person. You take somebody that maybe they wouldn't have a chance to go to college, or maybe they're the first person in their family to go to college. That scholarship or that partial money that enables them, and a lot of times it's keeping kids out of trouble. You know, at the middle school, high school level. I mean, there are plenty of statistics out there that show you when kids are involved in activities outside of school, such as a team sport, their grades are better, they graduate, and they stay out of trouble. And then they go on to college and become productive citizens. And, you know, who's leading the way are coaches. And I think coaches, a coach helped form my life. So, you know, I'm a big fan of coaches. And I still call coaches. It's funny. Now that I'm getting older, I'm older than some of these head coaches, but I still call them coach because I think that's just like the title of doctor. It's something that's earned, and it's something that it's a title of respect. And I will still call them coach to this day.
Yeah, and I still absolutely somebody in the military. I mean, they could have been out 20, 30 years. You're still going to call them the colonel. You're still going to call them coach. And no, I'm just going to tell it like it is. I see some guys at media days, 25 years old. Hey, Nick, what do you think? I mean, I'm sorry. That's just everybody looks around at them like, you know, you got your feet on backwards. Wes, what are the stories? I know you and I were talking about when and Little Rock after the tornado hit March 31st, and I'm looking around I'm trying to get some people involved to help Win High School with these Tiger air conditioning helmets that they have now. Our friend Frank Duffy, who was on the show, he's an investor and the marketing director on that show. But you get to go out and cover when a tornado hits. Oh my God, all of a sudden our field house, our weight room, everything is gone. But that, I bet you, pulls the teams closer together, doesn't it? Men's or women's sports.
Yeah, and you saw so many times a team coming together and working for others. You know, these are great athletes that are strong, and they're out there, you know, hauling debris away and helping move trees and cut up trees. And, you know, there was just story after story of teams coming together and doing that and helping their community. And so you love to see that. But, you know, whenever there's something tragic like that happens to a community, you pull together. as a team and become a tighter team. It's crazy. There are stories after stories of teams winning titles, and whether it's college, pro, high school, there's something that's happened to make this team a little tighter than your normal team. And I'll tell you what's crazy here. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind for some people because it was March 31st, and here we are in the middle of June or towards the late part of June. You drive by these neighborhoods and it still looks like a war zone. You know, they're still trying to get their house torn down or trying to get remodeled, rebuilt. Little Rock still has a long way to go to get back some of these neighborhoods to where they were before, and it's not going to happen in the next couple of months. It's a year-long process.
Yeah, and I noticed when you watch the Weather Channel in the national news, they kind of drop in there for a few days and get you all, you know, they cover it, but they don't have the follow-up. And that's why I am so big, and, you know, like the old Bud Light commercials, here's to you, Mr. Local Sports Anchor, sports writer. You know, you cover the story, but you keep covering it and keep people informed. And, you know, we were talking, but that's what I love about, you want to know what's going on in Little Rock. You know, some guy in New York that covers national college football or high school football, he can tell you a lot of things, but he can't tell you the details that you can. Wess, Franz Beard, GatorBaitMedia.com's on with us. Matt Dean, coach over at Rhodes College in Memphis. One of the things that we love about sports is how much it ties into everyday life. And the stories that you've covered just in the last few years, men's or women's sports, high school or college, what are the best ones and the most fulfilling, the most enriching that you could even make a movie about?
Oh, Lord, that's
this is a tough question day.
Man, I'm trying to remember because we had one Friday, and I'm like, we were talking about it on the radio. You got me stumped, and I'm like, that'll be a good movie. I can't believe what it is, and I can't think of it right now. But I'll tell you too, the UCA basketball coach, Anthony Boone. He played at Ole Miss basketball, had his jersey retired at Ole Miss. He's now the UCA head basketball coach. Guys, he was getting ready for a funeral last, I believe it was January, and he felt something pop in his chest and just a warm feeling go down his body, and he thought he had pulled a muscle. And this is a big guy. He was trying to, you know, he was on his way to benching 400 pounds. He told us that was his goal, and he thought he just kind of pulled a muscle. Went to the funeral, just felt terrible, and his family and friends are like, man, are you okay? You don't look good. He just didn't feel good. His back was hurting, and the next morning, his wife finally made him go to the hospital, and he had ruptured an aorta. It's called, I can't remember the medical term. And he almost died. And to see him come back, he had to have 2 surgeries in 3 days. Oh, and the odds and chances of this surviving those aren't great. And it's because of his strength, his physical background, and God, you know, that he was able to overcome this, and now he's back. And you know, he was telling his story to us last week, and it's pretty incredible. But to me, it's a lesson for all of these guys out here. We're hard-headed, and we think we'll be okay. Oh, yeah. Go to the hospital. Now, he says, you know, it worked out for him because if he had gone right away, he may have not had the same emergency room doctor that knew exactly what it was. And a lot of times this is misdiagnosed a heart attack, and they start treating you for a heart attack, and that's not what you need. You know, it's something completely different. And he said, as fate would have it, when he went in finally to the emergency room, the doctor there knew what it was. But you got, you know, something's wrong, go to the doctor. And that's what he kept saying. You know, don't put it off.
Yeah, UCA Bears, home of the high school, has the greatest nickname that I can think of. And Wes, that nickname is?
The Wampus Cats.
Oh, I love that one. I'll tell you one that I also like too. And there is a school, I can't remember the name of it, up in Pennsylvania, small school, the Fighting Squirrels. Oh my gosh, you know, the Fighting Squirrels. I mean, you think about that. You know, I always
love that.
I always, you know, we had a little school when I was up in North Carolina. Mr. Eastman, who was from Rochester, New York, a billionaire. He had his his winter home was there in North Carolina, and they named the town after him, Eastman. And the Eastman High School's nickname was the Kodaks because Mr. Eastman had
Wow.
me called Kodak. You know, they did all right, you know, but the Eastman Kodaks, you know, I always thought frost-proof Florida should be the refrigerators.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Nowadays, they'd go to Florida for a winter home, whatever. Wes, let's talk Razorbacks now. You're watching the College World Series, and you're saying really Wake Forest, Florida, and LSU are just in a league by themselves this year. You watch college baseball. You cover it. I see the Razorbacks are getting another top 2, top 3 class in the country. Your thoughts on the College World Series and the growth of baseball in college and what it's doing for the major leagues?
You see the ratings, so you know that it's growing. The number of people that are watching these games are breaking records. I think tonight will be, probably the most watched final. It's going to be, must-see TV. And what is helping is all of a sudden, just take a look at the game tonight, and you're going to see maybe 3 of the top 3 picks in the Major League Baseball draft. And these guys will be on the fast track to Major League Baseball. They're not going to sit in rookie league for a couple of years. They're going to move them up quickly, and they're going to be playing Major League Baseball, if not this year, next year. And it's what it's doing is I think it's helping Major League get rid of some of the lower minor league system teams and start using college baseball as their farm system. And I think that's a win-win for both college baseball fans and for Major League Baseball. Instead of having these developmental leagues, rookie leagues, start using college baseball. And hopefully, and you're starting to see it now, more and more high school kids are turning down the money and coming to college to play for 3 years. And then or 2, if you're age eligible, you can come. Caden Wallace out of Greenbrier and played at Arkansas. He's a prime example. He went for 2 years to college. He was age eligible in the draft, and he's on his way up right now. So I'm a fan of college baseball, so I hope more and more high school kids start opting to go to college instead of going to Major League Baseball. And look, I get it. It's not for everybody, but the more, the better is my thinking.
I wish everybody, all the leagues in college, and Wes, you're right on the money with that. I wish everybody had the baseball rule, which says you're either in school for 3 years or you can go when you're 21.
Yeah.
I don't watch the NBA because I don't like watching 18. If I want to watch 18-year-olds, I want to go watch University of Florida Gators or somebody like that on TV. I'd rather watch them in college basketball I'd much rather do that. But, the NBA is a league of 19-year-old kids who go out there and make it rain at strip joints, with throwing $100 bills up. Never forget hearing the stories about a certain player who used to be with Chicago Bulls who came down here to play for the Orlando Magic. And he was famous for going into some of these places where women remove their bras to make scholarship money. And he thought he invented the term "make it rain" because he'd bring $100 bills and just throw them up in the air like this, and these girls would scramble for them. And we're getting kids now. Wes, you made a point. When you're 18, 19, you do stupid stuff. Be in college with other people doing the stupid stuff. But when what does it say in the Bible? Paul said, when I became a man, I put away my childish ways. College baseball is helping do that because you're finding kids who are more mature who go up there, and that's why they are in the big leagues very quickly.
Yeah. Wes, along those lines, and Matt, the Iowa Cubs up in Des Moines, how big AAA ball is, and the Memphis Redbirds, Wes, AAA, and the Arkansas Travelers. But Wes, I think these college towns now are becoming bigger, and the facilities are better than what the farm systems can offer. And I bet you a third of the farm teams we had 10, 20 years ago are gone, aren't they, Wes?
Well, all you have to do is take a look at the SEC and some of these stadiums, and those are very comparable to AA stadiums. I mean, you look at Baum Walker Stadium, and then you take a look at Dickey Stevens Park here in North Little Rock for the Travelers, or up in Northwest Arkansas for, in Springdale for the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. Their ballparks are very nice, but so are these SEC stadiums. And so they're getting a taste of minor league baseball when they travel around. Well, actually, most minor league teams aren't getting 10,000, 11,000 a night, and that's what you're getting in the SEC. And you're getting to play in a better environment, honestly, than a lot of these AA stadiums. It's not until you get to AAA and you start getting some, fans in the stands. But just imagine, I mean, what they're going through this week at the College World Series is like playing some Major League Baseball. You're getting 20,000 people there watching you, and that's what they're getting a taste of it.
Yeah, Matt, you look at this crowd and what we're talking about. If you were a minor league coach in AAA, I think you're safe. But if you're AA or single A, I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be around.
Yeah, and kudos to the college rule for baseball, because it's made the product much better. And that's why the college basketball product has declined over the last decade, is we have all these one and dones that sometimes, Franz, they just sit on the end of a bench. At the NBA, they're not legal to drink. They're not legal to do a lot of things. And the socialization has been so affected for these young people. A lot of times they don't get their second contract. Now, the ones that are top five, they've been vested in them. I agree. But and I also have another conspiracy theory. I think some of us fans like the pureness of baseball. I'm sure there's some NIL deals going on, but they're getting turned off by some of the NIL deals in basketball and football. So the popularity of college baseball, because the product is better, because you actually have some 20 and 21-year-olds that have been playing for 3 years that are pretty doggone good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and Wes, I mean, we're all seeing how much these guys actually love the laundry. It's not all about, I mean, money, we all got to have it, but it's not NIL in your face with their hands out. That's just not what we hear with baseball. It's refreshing.
Well, let me throw something at you guys to what Matt said. Florida, a couple years, 3 or 4 years ago, had a great recruiting class that included a kid named Trey Mann. Trey Mann, as we know, #1 draft pick. We also had a kid who was higher rated named Scotty Lewis. And I am convinced that Scotty Lewis thought he was, okay, I got to go to college. Because of this one and done stupid rule. And he goes there for 1 year. And he basically, he's trying to avoid getting hurt, and he's trying to do all this. And ends up having to come back to Florida a second year. He's in the D League now. I mean, my gosh, and this is a kid with enormous talent. He's a smart kid and everything, but he's a kid that got caught up in this one and done thing. Like, I'm here in college because I have to be. You don't see that in baseball.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you don't. Wes, I know you're about out of time. Let people know how they can follow you and hear your show. And what are y'all going to be talking about today? Great stuff, Franz and Matt, this entire show. Absolutely love it. But Wes, I love having you on here, hearing what you got to say. And it's kind of the fun time of year where we can kind of get off point, whatever. But never forget, the Razorbacks stand ready for the next game.
Well, today's show is going to be a lot of fun. We're out at Chenal Country Club for the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament. So we're doing the show live out here, and we got all kinds of Hall of Famers stopping by. I don't know who will be stopping by. That's why you got to listen. But it's going to be a who's who of Arkansas sports hanging out today and playing a little golf. So it's a great Monday. I'll tell you that. Can't wait. I know Kevin McReynolds is out here, and I want to get him on, talk about the College World Series and tonight's game. But it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, and they follow you on Twitter at
Wess, 2 S's in Wess, _more, 2 O's and more. It's that simple.
All right. Hey, Wes, thank you so much, Wes. Look forward to having you on next week, as always. And I'll be listening to the show here in about 15 minutes.
All right. Take care, guys. Have a great week.
You too, Wes.
You too. Guys, great show today, man. And let me say real quick, because of the power outages and a lot of stuff in Memphis, Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Charles Hall, the owner, and his wife Laura, they said they should be open today around 11 a.m. Central. Power, they're getting all that worked on. Knowing Charles as I do, he'll have generators and whatever it takes, and they will welcome with open arms he and Raven and Laura and everybody there at Hewlett and Dunn opening up at 11 o'clock today. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Never, ever miss an opportunity to thank the people that help you along the way. We're all blessed, as we say, be blessed and bless others. Catch Franz Beard Monday through Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Buddy Martin Show, Facebook and Twitter, GatorbaitMedia.com, and Coach Matt Rhodes, Associate AD, Rhodes College in Memphis. Hey, remember this. Sports teach the lessons of life. So I will be back on tomorrow. Got a great show. We're going to talk about the arms race in college athletics with Yan Cowart and talking about facilities and what's going on. Where's all this money going? Why does it cost so much or whatever? Rodney Orr, Tyler Insider, bunch more great guests. Until then, have a great day. We are out of here.